Look at this tropical system, and it has Florida in the crosshairs. Thanks for joining us today at 5. I'm John Brown.
Good evening. I'm Hannah McKenzie. We are tracking these storms, and we've got a live look from our Fox 35 Storm Team Thunder truck. Hopefully pulling that up for you soon. The truck is out on 528 near MCO. We're hoping to grab that for you. And here we go. Right there. You can see exactly what our Thunder truck is seeing on the right-hand side of your screen. We do have some rain moving into our area, but there is a whole lot more rain on the way, although pretty skies out there right now. Noah, you're joining us. Time this out for us. When is the rain going to start to move in?
Yeah, Hannah, it looks like at least for today, we've already passed the most amount of rain we're going to have. We're going to have more activity for tomorrow, but especially this weekend. And there's a reason why. Where I've marked with this X, you see some big clouds here in the Bahamas. There's a little area of low pressure that's trying to form, and this is going to cross the state this weekend. Whether it forms or not, the forecast is essentially the same. We're going to have some enhanced rain and gusty winds, especially on Saturday, I think. So there's where the Hurricane Center has marked this area of low pressure. You see some decent thunderstorms here in the Bahamas, and it's going to just track across the state this weekend. And in the yellow zone, it has a small chance of tropical development. So to break this down a little further for you, this is a low chance of a tropical depression, at absolute most a weak storm to form. If it did, it's going to be tracking northwest across the state this weekend. But whether or not we actually see a depression or a storm, I want to focus your attention on the forecast for Saturday. There will be notably more rain on Saturday as this little area of tropical moisture comes across the state. I'll show you that in our Fox model and go through the details for your Friday coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Noah. And parts of our coast are already starting to see some flooding.
Yeah, in Mims, people there pumping water out of their yards right now. Fox 35's Marie Edinger joins us live in Brevard County. So, Marie, this is kind of becoming a normal thing for them after rains.
Hard to call it normal when they're dealing with all of that water. They said earlier today it was up above their ankles. This is what we're looking at in the ditch right now. It is much lower than even just a few hours ago when me and Langston, the cameraman I'm working with, got on scene here. Now, I will tell you, you mentioned, John, that it's becoming normal. Flooding here is becoming more common, but people here say they don't know how much more of it they can take. People living around US 1 and Irwin Ave and Mims can't catch a break.
It's horrible. I mean, we need help. We need people here.
This is what things look like after a full day of pumping water out.
This morning, you would be standing in about ankle, knee deep in between there, your shin of water. And we've been pumping all morning.
Fox 35 was just out in this area recently. Back in July, the patio apartments got about 8 inches of rain in an hour, flooding several units and displacing families. Now, they've got pumps going yet again. And across the street at Mo Messel Tree Service, pumps diverted water that flooded some of the construction zone, while some came out in a stream into a ditch.
But the county is working with FDOT to see what we can do to improve that situation out there.
It's a game. The county says it's DOT's problem. DOT says it's the county's problem. Man, I don't want any excuses. I just need something to happen.
It isn't just this corner. A man living right down the road says he's been in the house for about 4 years and it's already flooded twice. He's recovering from surgery and not able to handle a pump on his own. So he's extremely worried about what a harder rain could bring.
I understand you're going to have people on the ground. What are they going to actually be doing while they're here?
And the main thing we can do is just monitor whether we have ditches clogging up or water that's not moving when it needs to move, and whatever we can do to get that water moving.
The county says they will have people here starting tomorrow and through the weekend. The worst rain event they're expecting should come Saturday. Live in Brevard County, Marie Edinger, Fox 35 News.
Thanks, Marie. And we sent out this alert this morning warning you about the heavy rains moving in today, and that alert was spot on. And you can stay on top of the weather by downloading the Fox Local app and then turning on the notifications. You can also track the storms with our live radar right there in that app.
Now to a developing story in Brevard County. Some residents in Palm Bay are calling for a council member to be booted from the board.
Yeah, it all started when Chandler Langevin posted this on social media saying, "Deport every Indian immediately." And he's not backing down from his statements either. He wrote online today is my birthday, and all I want is for Donald Trump to revoke every Indian visa and deport them immediately. America is for Americans. Fox 35's Esther Bauer joins us live in Palm Bay. Esther, a state senator now asking for the governor to suspend him.
John, Senator Debbie Mayfield sent that letter, but she is not alone. We have seen a large response from local, state, and national politicians, all condemning what the councilman said. This is the first time he is going to face the public after making those comments, and we are expecting huge crowds here at City Hall. People of Indian descent are devastated by what the councilman said.
What Mr. Chandler said about us not loving this country and not being here, it's a downright lie.
Longtime Brevard County resident and Indian American. I feel hurt.
I was kind of breakdown. It was totally a breakdown because never thought in my life that something like this will happen. I'm just one of the Indian, but I'm American first.
This all started because Councilman Chandler Langevin shared several posts on X recently about Indians in America. He said, quote, "Deport every Indian immediately. Indians are destroying the South, and there's not a single Indian that cares about the United States." Now, Senator Debbie Mayfield from Brevard County is asking the governor to suspend him from sitting on city council. Hundreds packed City Hall on Tuesday when the mayor held a special meeting and released this letter, also condemning the councilman's comments. The council will vote Thursday night on whether the city attorney should send a letter to the governor asking the state to remove him.
We're in a leadership role. We should conduct ourselves to live peacefully among all men, not just people we identify with, whether it's race, gender, or creed, but it should be everybody. And we represent over 140,000 people in the city of Palm Bay.
And for some context, this is not the first time this councilman has been caught up in controversy. A few months ago, he was under fire for going after Muslims in America on social media. A few weeks ago, he also targeted, quote, left-wing evil. But we can tell you this is the largest community response we've seen after he went after Indians in America. Reporting live in Palm Bay, Esther Bauer, Fox 35 News.
Thanks, Esther. New details on the death of Kevin Rodriguez Zavala. He is the man who died after riding Stardust racers at Epic Universe. A newly released report from Orange County Fire Rescue says the call originally came in for an unresponsive person on the ride. It took 3 crews from between 6 to 13 minutes to arrive on scene. The report says Rodriguez Zavala was still in his seat when they arrived with the restraint bar in place. Crews then lifted that bar and moved him onto a stretcher where they started to perform CPR. He was then taken to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. Zavala's family wants that ride to remain closed during the investigation into what happened.
Well, day 2 of the government shutdown is winding down, and it appears that neither side is budging at this point. Democrats are fighting for COVID-era insurance subsidies to be included in this spending bill, but Republicans say the proposal stops measures that send funding to illegal immigrants. Senate Democrats are expected to block the Republican short-term funding bill again tomorrow. That means the shutdown will likely stretch into next week.
Deputies in Flagler County want to know if you had your home cleaned by this woman. This is 38-year-old Kayla Connor. We're told she's a maid and she stole from at least 2 different households, but investigators believe it may be much more. According to one victim, Connor took his dead wife's jewelry, driver's license, and bank cards, which she then used. Another victim reported hundreds of dollars worth of jewelry was stolen, then pawned. Connor was on probation at the time of the thefts. In 2021, she was also arrested for allegedly altering receipts to increase tips when she worked as a server at a restaurant in Marion County. Deputies say Connor is currently being held without bond. If you think you may be a victim, call Flagler County detectives. We've got the number on your screen now. Well, Fox 35 News at 5 is just getting started. Still ahead, the hayrides, the pumpkins, the fall festival memories families treasure, all of it coming to an end? A beloved family farm going out with one final celebration.
And color-coded uniforms and early morning wake-up calls. A newly released handbook shows us the strict rules the detainees are dealing with at Alligator Alcatraz.
Plus, hot yoga, tree studies, even money to help illegal immigrants.
Taking your money, wasting it. The taxpayers have had enough, and so have we.
Orlando's mayor fires back, saying the state has it wrong. We're digging into what your tax money is actually being spent on.
And you're watching Fox 35 News at 5 on this Thursday evening. We'll be right back.
All right, in the tropics, we're watching two areas of potential development, one in the southern Atlantic, one over us. Both are going to be interesting over the next few days, but I think only one's going to become a storm. I'll tell you which one it is in just a few minutes. Got some new details today on what's being dubbed as wasteful spending in the city of Orlando and Orange County.
So do you know how your taxpayer dollars are being spent? That is the literal $1 million question. Tonight, Fox 35's Randy Hildreth is hearing from those paying the price. She joins us live from City Hall. So Randy, what can you tell us about all this?
Yeah, good evening to you both. So the state's CFO accuses Orlando of blowing your money on frivolous things like a tree counting program. But the mayor of Orlando pushed back today, saying not only is that not true, he says the programs in question by the state are ones that make the city of Orlando special. And he says these programs are programs that people want. Hot yoga and helping illegal immigrants. Those are the latest wasteful spending accusations against Orlando by the state's chief financial officer.
They are paying almost $70,000 for hot yoga classes for employees.
The city of Orlando has spent money on things like hot yoga. And people we spoke with Thursday seemed shocked at the accusations.
Active transparency. These are political figures, and the level of scrutiny that they should be held to is much higher.
CFO Blaise Ingoglia also accused the city of Orlando of spending $460,000 of taxpayer money for a tree inventory program, $16,000 on its Poet Laureate program, which in other parts of the state is an unpaid position, and $150,000 to help illegal immigrants evade deportation.
Taking your money, wasting it, the taxpayers have had enough, and so have we.
But Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer says Ingoglia was wrong, pointing out the tree program, for example, was funded by grants and fees paid by developers looking to build, not property taxes. He also doubled down on other spending, confirming the city did award a grant to the Orlando Center for Justice, which provides legal representation and Q&As for people on how and when to report to court or ICE. The city says the yoga classes are part of its employee wellness program to help promote healthier lifestyles. And that Poet Laureate program pays a poet to represent the city at events and inspire youth through storytelling. In a statement, Mayor Dyer said in part, quote, "I am proud of Orlando's fiscal prudence. We have kept our millage rate unchanged for more than a decade and delivered a balanced budget each year while continuing to meet the needs of our growing community and the 75 million visitors who come to our city annually." Citizens watching the back and forth feel
the state says one thing, the city says another thing, a lot of bickering, and hopefully we end up finding out exactly what's going on.
CFO.
All right, sorry about that. We lost our signal there at the very end. All right, so let's shift gears here and take a look at the Launch Credit Union camera today. That's Port Canaveral. Looks really nice out there, but boy, those breezes and the big time showers today, that was different. Noah Berggren is back with us right now.
I love on that view how you could see that palm tree looking so picturesque with the breeze going through. Noah, it looks so pretty out there. What are you tracking on radar, though?
Not much, Anna. And you guys know as well as I do, this is classic Florida, right? We had a lot of rain earlier. Now it's nice, but it's still windy. That's going to be the common denominator here. The constant for the next several days is wind and very rough surf. If you're here visiting, trying to get some beach time, I hate to be the bearer of bad news for you, but through Sunday or Monday, even at low tide, there's not going to be a lot of sand to plop a chair on. So if you're here trying to get to the beach on the East Coast, it's not great. Now, on the West Coast, it's a different story, but on the East Coast beach is really rough for the next few days. Wind gusts over the past few minutes, pretty uniform, about 20-25 miles an hour. Now, the rain chances are going to be highest, I think, on Saturday, and there's a reason for that. Our little tropical wave that's in the Bahamas will come across the state. That should help enhance the coverage and amount of rain that falls on Saturday. You can see that on the visible satellite out over here. It's just a bunch of clouds, and this is often what happens in the wake of hurricanes that move east of Florida. They leave behind fronts, and then a few days later, off of those fronts, you can get weak tropical depressions or sometimes tropical storms that form off of them, and that's what could happen out here. It's not going to be a big tropical threat at all. I want to make clear the forecast is consistent, just a little bit of an enhancement to the existing forecast for the weekend. Notice the rain's pretty much done out there for tonight, but this morning you may have caught GDO tracking the storms and the rain. Really not a lot of lightning, but just a lot of rain this morning, as expected, coming in off the ocean. In fact, Daytona National Speedway, about 3 inches of rain. You go to about LPGA Boulevard, almost 6 inches of rain just today. Down to the south, we had Marie Ettinger and Mims earlier. You see here off I-95, Maytown Road, 6.2 inches of rain today. In Oak Hill, 3.5 inches of rain. But you go in places of Seminole County, Marion County, it barely rained. This will be the calling card for the next several days, but when you sum it all together, between now and Sunday, everybody's going to get rain. Rain this evening's down in South Florida. That's where it'll stay for the evening. I think we're pretty much dry for the rest of tonight. Temperatures now are in the 80s in most places. North and west will get into the 60s. Ocala, Gainesville into the 70s elsewhere. Highs tomorrow should stay in the mid-80s. So our weather patterns dominated by high pressure essentially over New York City and Long Island. That's going to cause these gusty east winds to continue, and in that east to west flow, a little tropical wave will skirt across the state as we head into the weekend. So if you had plans to be at the East Coast beaches, it's really rough. We've reported on it, sadly. We hate when it's in our newscasts about having to be rescues or fatalities at the beaches, but we've already seen that the last week. This has been a problem that's been ongoing now for days about rough surf, very high rip current threat. So through the weekend, unless you're a veteran surfer or anything like that, it's best to stay out of the water. All right, so here's your Friday. Notice everything moving from right to left. Here's 9 a.m. tomorrow. Here's 12:30. Again, like today, passing showers, some downpours. I think it's primarily focused on the morning, actually, tomorrow. Now, Saturday, things will be a little bit different. We'll have more widespread coverage of rain off and on for the whole day. Here's 10 o'clock in the morning. Here's 12:30. Here's 1:30. And notice there's a wider coverage of rain that just keeps coming and forming Saturday. And I think Saturday in particular, if you had plans to be at the theme parks, I'm not saying don't go, but there's going to be a lot of rain. It's not a washout, quote unquote, but off and on showers every hour of the day on Saturday. So we'll hold the breeze through Monday. Then the rain chances will start to taper next week. Then the tropics could get a lot more interesting for us here towards the end of next week. I'll talk to you about what that could be in the next half hour.
All right, thanks, Noah. Coming up here at 5:30, turmoil on the taxiway. Two planes collide, causing chaos at one of the nation's busiest airports. Why turbulence before takeoff is becoming more common.
And the days of Rip Ride Rocket at Universal are gone, but you can own a piece of the old coaster. We'll tell you how coming up tonight at 6. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Got a consumer alert tonight. Americans are buying fewer new cars. Edmunds now reporting that new car down payments also hit a 4-year low as buyers are struggling with affordability. The average down payment for a new car fell to $6,020. That's in the third quarter of this year. But if you look at last year, you see the difference. Yes, last year is about 10% higher.
Well, down payments for cars may have dropped to a low, but mortgage rates have hit a high. For the second straight week, the average long-term U.S. mortgage rate has ticked up. Based on a 30-year mortgage, the rate is now closer to 6.5%.
All right, coming up here at 5:30, it reads like a student handbook with meal times and uniform codes.
But critics say this so-called rule book is nothing more than copy and paste.
Unfortunately, rule books don't matter if the rules aren't being followed.
All of that is false. Every single bit of it.
We're taking a look at some of the promises on paper about what's going on behind the gates of Alligator Alcatraz.
And a woman is locked up and brutally beaten, according to police. The suspect is her own stepdaughter. How neighbors may have saved her life.